Hi, I'm Verity from Verity's Creative Cakes. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful edible fabrics. It's really simple, really straightforward, and doesn't cost the earth. There are a few different brands on the market. It's taken the internet by storm, but they're quite expensive. This method, you can make as much as you want or as little as you want, when you want, as and when you need it. So I'm going to pop these to one side. I'll come back to these in a moment, but I'm going to start off with showing you how to get the ball rolling. So first, I want some gelatin. I'll do some more describing in a moment. Glycerin, we can put that to one side for the moment. Water. It's only tap water. I've measured out 4 tablespoons. And to this, I need to add 2 tablespoons of gelatin. So we'll pop that in there to do it quite quickly and give it a stir. It needs to be fully combined. Right, pop that to one side. That ideally needs to sit for about 15 minutes. I'm not going to leave it quite that long in the video, just so that we don't run out of time. Right, pop that to one side for the moment. Right, so back to the gelatin. I've used a beef gelatin, bovine, same thing. You can buy it in the supermarkets. I bought this one online. It's one of my favourites. It's quite a clear gelatin. It is flavourless and colourless, so it says. None of them are completely clear or anything, but this one's pretty good, and you do brush it on quite thin, so you really won't notice the colour. Glycerin, again, it's available in the supermarkets. This one, I've bought it in bulk again because I do make quite a lot of this product. Gelatin's also available in smaller packets. Even in the supermarkets, they've got Dr. Oetker. It works fine. I've tried it. You're also going to need corn flour. You can either use a dabber. I prefer to use a soft brush. Silicone mat. This just helps it to not stick. As long as you've got something that's non-stick, it'll work fine. I've got my measurers. The largest one of this one is a tablespoon. Sweetness or flavour, there we are. This one's cotton candy. Make sure you have a clear flavouring. You don't want a pink tinge or a green tinge, depending on the flavour that you pick. Pick a clear one. It's not essential, you don't need to add it at all, the same as the sweetener, it's not essential. If I do decide to add some to it, I just crush it between 2 teaspoons, and pop it in at a later stage. I'll show you when to do it if you do want to do it. But they are totally optional. Gelatin isn't a great tasting product. Doesn't really matter what you do to it, it's never going to taste amazing. A bit like cake lace, things like that. They're fine with fondant, but not on their own. Not the best, but hey ho. Right, what else do I need? A brush. I need a brush to pop it on with. This is not sharp, makes it easy to pick up an edge. When we get there, I'll show you. It also scores around the outside. I will show you that when we get there. A couple of teaspoons, that's just to save me washing. You'll see that the other one that I've used to stir that with, that's gone straight into the sink. Let's come back and have a look at these. So, this is the ratio that I'm showing you how to make. It's stretchy. That's printed rice paper. Rice paper is your other ingredient, but I will get there. It's printed, it doesn't run, it doesn't smudge. We've all done it when we've tried to put a printed piece of rice paper onto a cake and we've touched it with a little bit of water or edible glue, and it totally destroys the picture. We've all done that. This is actually slightly waterproof now, so even if you wanted to attach this to the cake, it's not going to spoil it. It's incredible. And this one here, I've used Rolcom. Roll comes available in lots of different colours. You can use any luster dust. A pearl looks absolutely beautiful as well, as long as it's edible. It has to be edible. If you're planning on putting it on a cake, make sure it's edible. So that's these. Make bows as well. They make great bows. If this was on a smaller scale, they make fantastic bows. And I've found the easiest way is to use some wet EdiFab to stick it to itself. So that's been a couple of minutes now. Like I say, if you leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes, it's a messy job. If you leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes, you end up, it totally turns into a sort of stiff, wobbly, it's jelly-like, it's very jelly-like. So we pop this in the microwave. It'll take about 30 seconds in total, but do it in 10-second intervals. Just to move it around, stir it up a little bit. We don't want it to heat unevenly. Bear with me. There we go, it's already started to turn slightly liquidy. Just give it a quick stir. In again for another 10 seconds. I'm just going to pop these bits out the way because it's quite a messy job, the next bit. Want that, want that. Right. That's nice and hot. Don't bring it to the boil, but you do have to make it quite warm so that it turns liquidy. Now the longer you leave this, the better results you'll get. It'll end up clear, and if there's a slight layer of scum on it, some gelatin scums more than others, just scrape it off with a spoon. This is solid now, it's turned into jelly, it's hard. And this one here, just going to try and remove some of that. If you leave it just for a couple of minutes, it will separate a lot easier, but I'm just going to show you how to do it just quickly. That's got most of the scum off, that will do. Right, now is when we add our glycerin. Now of course this is only room temperature, so it does bring the temperature of this back down. You will need to put it back in the microwave. There's one. And there's two. Get the excess out. Don't need that anymore. Give it a really good mix. Now is the time to add a sweetener or a flavouring if you want to. Like I said, it's got to be a clear one. Something that's concentrated is best. You only need a couple of drops. Same with a sweetener. Any brand will do. This one's from Morrison's. Crush it between 2 spoons and add it now. I'm not going to worry about that in this tutorial, but that's got a really good mix now. So I'm just going to pop that back in the microwave for a moment, just to bring it back up. The warmer you make it, the better and longer you will have to play with it. This is rice paper. It's printed, it's just to show you that nothing smudges. Also a cheeky little bit of advertising there. If you go along to this website here on my Facebook page, this will have information on how you can buy a written version of this tutorial. If you prefer to follow a recipe the old-fashioned way in writing, we can do it that way. Just bringing that back up to temperature. Like I say, the hotter the better. The hotter it is, the runnier it is. Do not boil it. quite nice and hot. As you can see, this one isn't particularly clear because I didn't de-scum it the best. Right, I'll take my brush. This is the messy bit. Pop that there so you can see what I'm doing. Slap it on, literally. Get it on as quick as you can. You must work quickly. If you don't work quickly, you will end up with drag marks. Flip it over. I've got the shapes. I found it easier to start with one end because you don't want air bubbles, or as least amount of air bubbles as you can. Saying that, my brush has just left a molting. Get rid of those air bubbles, as many as you can. A couple is okay, it's very hard to get rid of all of them. As you can see, I'm reloading my brush. Right, I'm not going to play with that anymore, otherwise we're going to end up with drag marks. Right, so that's that. Now that will take about 10 minutes to fully dry. I'm not going to leave it that long again, just for the tutorial video purposes, otherwise we'll be sat here all day. So I'm just going to wait until it's tacky. Now you can tell that by the outside bit, that's still wet, as you can see. It's still sticky, still icky. Sticky icky. Right, let's do some tidying. So I want this bit, and I want this bit. Let's have another look at this while we're waiting. That's just with corn flour, remember. I've actually done these with two different recipes. This one is the same recipe as this. They dry differently. They act the same now. This one will remain quite flexible. When did about 2 hours ago I made this one. So, and it's still really flexible. That will stay like this for a good 6 hours, up to 12. It is environmentally dependent. Depends what sort of day it is. It's a wet day today. It's raining outside. It's miserable. So the air is quite damp. It will dry out quicker if you've got a very hot summer's day or something. But this will stay pretty flexible. This one, it's a slightly different ratio. It's still stretchy. You can still screw it up. It still acts just like a fabric, but this will dry just a little bit stiffer. And this is great for things like bows. I'm actually going to make this into a parcel bow. So yeah, it's brilliant. But I'll give you the details at the end of the video on how you can make the different ratios and how they act. I will give you this information later on. See, that's nearly touch dry now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this one off. Like I say, leave this for about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, about 10 minutes. Just score around the edge, otherwise you're going to end up trying to pick up all these bitty, horrible bits. Scoring around the edge just means that you pick up a neat sheet. That could have been dangerous, what I've just said. Now I don't know how you prefer, using a dabber or a brush, either's fine. And we just smother it in corn flour. Basically dries it out and takes away all the tackiness, otherwise it does stick to itself. This makes it handleable. Now because we've scored around the edge, you do need to leave it longer than what I have. You do run the risk it's sticking to the mat. It's not coming away the best, but I'm just showing you quickly. You leave it for the full 10 minutes, you won't get that slight lift that's happened here, look. Just to show you some of this excess. Messy job, isn't it? There we go, that will do. As you can see there, it has lifted slightly, but that's just purely because I peeled it away too quickly. These ones didn't do that. I left them for the full 10 minutes before lifting them. Initially, almost a bit plasticky. It's very delicate at this stage. If you try and pull it, shape it, it won't work yet. You do have to leave this for about an hour. So just pop it to one side. It doesn't matter whether you hang it or whether you just leave it to dry somewhere flat, because you can wipe this down and then get your other ones sorted. If you're not quick at working, if you're doing a few on a row, you can reheat your gelatin mix. But yeah, that's it.